Today's video is a perfect example of me having extremely well critical thinking skills and analyzing things way too deeply than I probably should. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Zhariya Smith and I typically make commentary videos just like this one. So if you guys happen to like that, or you happen to dislike my gorgeous face or my Akatsuki earrings, make sure to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell to get notified every single time I post, which happens to be on Mondays and on Fridays. To start off, before this video derails and goes completely south, today's candle is Dragon Fruit Kiwi. It's actually becoming like low-key a favorite of mine. It smells like the summer, springtime. I'm a summer child, so I love, summer. I guess a lot of people do. So I honestly have no idea how to transition into this video. So before I do that, hope you guys are doing amazing today. I'm sorry in advance if this video seems very not like any video that I've ever made, or maybe you might be like, this is the exact video that I would make. But I was thinking about how a lot of my subscribers will tell me, like, Zhariya, you have such great critical thinking skills. You analyze things that I would have never thought to. Your videos are so niche and so great and all of these things. And I think that I've been getting gassed up way too much. And I started thinking about, internet trends and whatnot. And recently, a video popped up. They've been popping up a lot, but on my YouTube homepage. And it was like siblings or dating. And I watched the video, obviously, because why wouldn't I? I have nothing to do these days. But it got me thinking about the media. And look, I understand this is going to sound crazy. I've already accepted that I'm going to seem like a conspiracy theorist, like my OnlyFans video. This week is just a really weird week of my videos. I promise Monday's video will be more normal than this one and my last video. If you haven't watched my OnlyFans video, please do. I actually enjoyed making it a lot. But I started thinking about the fact that the media that I have grown up around, the media that I consume, and I'm also a media studies student. I feel like I should preface that. So I analyze stuff I really shouldn't. I shouldn't. I could be doing many other things. But I started realizing how the media is weirdly obsessed with incest. Also, please don't play one of those drinking games where you take a shot every single time I say incest. I promise you will be falling off the floor within the next 2 minutes. But yeah, so I would be talking about that. I know that's a weird topic, but I live in Florida. I live in, North Florida at that, so I'm used to that stuff. I'm used to seeing incestuous couples. I'm used to seeing them go to prom together and homecoming together. It's gross. I don't support it. I support love, but I don't support that love. On some real, I don't support that. But, so for me, incest has always been surrounding my life. Not like in my family. That's gross. But in general, seeing the people around me, seeing, things happening. I see it a lot. All this to say, I've been surrounded by a lot of that stuff living in Florida. Specifically, I would say that if I drove 20 minutes, I could see cows. So if that gives you any sort of reference of like how country my life is, that would be a good example. But let's talk about this whole siblings or dating trend that's happening. This has been trending on YouTube for about like a couple months. I know for a fact I definitely saw Cody Ko made a video a month ago when I watched that. So I know that it's been a trend, and honestly the Instagram account that is the siblings or dating Instagram account has been making posts and has been getting popular since 2020, and they have over 1 million followers. More followers than I do. So, they're doing something right, I guess. But basically the premise of this challenge, trend, concept is that you look at a picture of a couple or two people next to each other, and you have to guess, are they siblings or are they dating? And I think it's like supposed to be like a commentary. I try to analyze these things, but I think it's supposed to be a commentary on how a lot of people who date each other date people who look like their siblings or their mothers or act like their dads and stuff like that. Sigmund Freud, wherever he is right now, if you believe in, anything, I wonder if he's sitting back thinking, like I told y'all, y'all thought I was crazy and here I am. But it is interesting to think about psychology and stuff like that. Like, why is it that so many people will date someone that looks like they're related to them? And that's why I'm not even going to mention about, like, dating within your race and, like, all of those things. But what I will say is very interesting to me. And this whole trend got me thinking about the whole siblings or dating thing. And it got me thinking about how a lot of shows that I watched growing up that I enjoyed a lot got ruined because of incest or implied incest. I'm looking at You, Life with Derek. I'm so pissed about that show. Like, words cannot express how pissed I am about that show. But it got me thinking about those things. And like so many animes that I watched, too many, I would be watching anime typically, minding my business, me on some Kiss Anime type website, and then I would see a season into a show, suddenly there's incest, and I'm like, whoa, I'm talking about Vampire Night. Like, literally. But it's not just Vampire Night. A lot of animes, there's like compilation lists of like animes that include incest, and it's a lot. In comparison to the animes that are getting released, it's like crazy to think about, but it got me thinking also about how how the adult entertainment industry is, so reliant on incest or implied incest, I should say. Terms like daddy, stepbro, stepsis, stuff like that gets very like it's hard to say stuff like that and not have a sexual context because of the internet and because of the popularity in, I don't think I'm allowed to say the word, but you know what I'm talking about. Like adult entertainment. Like it's very interesting to me. We have Trisha Paytas and her sister, having OnlyFans. We have the Claremont twins, doing incesty stuff. Or like implied incesty stuff. We have the Kachi twins, who literally in their YouTube videos in like 2016 would tag incest in their YouTube tags. I'm not even kidding. There was a whole drama with Tana Mojo that happened then that I was very much like reels in on. But it's interesting to me to think about how popular incest is. And like not the fact that it's like normal, because it's by no means like normal, but I would say it's like interwoven into like American culture, at least. I can't speak for anywhere that I haven't lived. I guess aside from Germany, I don't remember living there much, so I can't really speak to German culture, but like, it's just interesting. And I've been talking about this, and you might be asking me, you might be, 5 years old. If you're 5, please, maybe you can, but like, you might be younger, and you might be like, what is incest? I have no idea what that means. My personal definition of incest is, if you have to ask, is this incest? It is. That's my definition of incest. But the actual definition of incest is sexual relations between people classed as being too closely related to marry each other. And the crime of having, and it's also the crime of having sexual intercourse with a parent, sibling, child, or grandchild. And I will say it literally is illegal in most states. And it sucks that I have to say most states. But I happen to live in a state. I live in Florida. If you don't know, I'm such a Floridian. Like, it's honestly, like, the more and more I think about it, I'm like, I'm such a Florida girl. But Florida is one of those states that allow you to marry. It's not your sister, but it's like your cousin, which is gross on so many levels. Like, a cousin is still a cousin. That could just be me. But all this to say, like, it's just weird to me, like, how popular incest is. And I feel like we used to make fun of people for stuff like that. So, like, when did the whole, and I wouldn't even say it's like people supporting other people for being incestuous. I just think it's more so of like enjoying entertainment that involves some sort of incest like plot, which is weird. Like, am I alone in this? Well, I probably am in thinking this right now, but if you're watching along at this point, let me know in the comments. Are you following me right now? But to give you an example, there are a lot of popular TV shows that either have incest or implied incest in as either a major plot point in their show, or have like a lot of sitcoms do it too, and they'll have like, oh, like or incest episode, and then they move on, which is so weird. But some examples of this are 2.5 Men, Seinfeld, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Big Bang Theory, Futurama, which is one of my personal favorite shows growing up. And I remember rewatching that during quarantine, like in the beginning, like April, May time frame. And I was rewatching it and I'm like, wait a minute. If you don't know, in Futurama, Fry goes back in time, accidentally sleeps with his grandmother. Something happens to his grandfather, and then he ends up being his own grandfather. Gross, right? And that's like a plot point. Like they bring it up. They literally bring it up in other episodes. So it's like a continuity thing, which is even stranger. So Pretty Little Liars. Never watched that show, but it was listed. We have Riverdale. Riverdale is an implied incest type of situation. Like the twins, Cheryl Blossom and Jason Blossom. I haven't watched Riverdale since season 2 because that show got real messy real fast. I love the CW, but I just couldn't subject myself to whatever Riverdale is doing right now. American Horror Story, specifically in Coven, there was a situation where Kyle's mom was, well, Kyle is the character and his mom was him. I guess I'll cut that part out, but you know why. We have Game of Thrones, Arrested Development, and so many more. I sound like an infomercial, but there are so many more. And I didn't even include anime because that list just goes on forever. I don't think the list ever ends. Like, it's interesting to think about, and this is why, like, I'm making this video, because I was like thinking about, I'm like, why is it that it's just so normal, so like whatever. And I know like a lot of it will be like, oh, well, it's not technically incest because they're like my step sibling, or like, oh, well, we didn't actually do anything, we just started crushing each other, so that's not incest. And like, those are the plots of these TV shows. And I'm like, why are we showing this to these like young people growing up that like, oh, you know, incest is something you can do? We shouldn't be promoting that to anybody in general. It's like gross. It's very gross. Very, very gross. But I am going to briefly talk about, I guess, the history of incest and why incest is literally a thing. Gross. Basically, back in not the good old days, it was horrible, especially for people like me. But back in the day, like way, way back in the day, I'd say probably like the 1600s type deal. Oh my god. I sound like the wisecrack little thing, thug notes. That's how I sound right now. But people did incest mostly to preserve bloodlines. That's because, as we know, like with royal families, you know, like the person who has the most royal blood is going to be the next ruler. You know, that's why Prince Philip died. But if Queen Elizabeth were to have died, Prince Philip would not have been the next person in line to be King of England. I don't think he is in the line. Well, he's not anymore because he's dead, but he wasn't in the line, period, you know. I think Prince Charles is technically next in line. I could be wrong. I don't care about the royals. I don't live in the UK. They do nothing for me. So I'm sorry if any British people are watching this and I just butchered that. But something that's interesting to me is, I am going to talk about mutations with incest, but really quickly, I want to just reel it in. I got the bag type energy on the Habsburg jaw, which I forgot this was a thing. Unlocked my memory because the other day I was watching a Brittany Broski video with Chris Clemens. I love Chris Clemens, so you know I'm gonna watch it. She mentioned the Habsburg jaw, and I was like, brain, AP World History mind just got unlocked for a second, because basically the Habsburgs arranged like close marriages to protect their interests or whatever. And like genetically, because of them, you know, and being, you know, incestuous and all that jazz, they started to develop literal mutations. Specifically, the Habsburg jaw was like long, jutting, like longer jaws, severe underbites. The worst case of this was in Prince Charles II of Spain. He had an underbite that was so severe he couldn't even like properly speak. He couldn't chew and had problems with drooling like excessively. He was also infertile, had cognitive disabilities. He learned how to talk when he was 4 and learned how to walk when he was 8, which I mean, that's like very far behind. So incest is bad. That's why it's illegal, because you can mess up your entire, you know, gene pool by doing stuff like that. But now I'm going to briefly list off mutations that come with incest. Misshapen skulls, fused limbs, hemophilia, a cleft palate, clubfoot, albinism, or being albino, severe asymmetry, dwarfism, infertility, scoliosis. Though scoliosis isn't something that's like only reserved for incest. Like that's a thing that happens to a lot of people. Immune system disorders, and the list goes on. So moral of the story, incest equals bad. Equals don't do incest, you weird person. We got it? Yeah. But my final thoughts are, think about it like this. People, I'll use, I guess, gay people in this essence because I can't think of anybody else. People get so upset about like, oh, I don't want there to be a gay couple on my TV show because what if my kid sees that and they want to be gay or something, you know, homophobic. But people don't say the same stuff about incest. They're just like, oh, you know, move on, like whatever. Like the fact that Game of Thrones is a critically acclaimed, one of the best TV shows to ever exist and is founded on incest. It's kind of gross. I don't care if it's fantasy. I don't care if it's, you know, historically accurate. It's still gross. So don't do that. That's the moral of the story. Incest is gross and don't do that. And if you do that, stop. And if you're being forced, contact the police. Simple as that. Simple as that, really. I know this video was weird. I have gone along with the siblings are dating thing. And I would say that the trick to succeeding in siblings are dating is to see their body language, because their body language will show whether or not they're siblings or they are dating. That's my best advice. But yeah, that is my video. I'm so sorry if you've watched it this far. But yeah, make sure to like the video if you liked it. Make sure to subscribe if you like this video. And you can watch my other videos. I promise I'm not this weird usually, but I've just been thinking way too much. Like, you know, I've been thinking way too much. But yeah, leave a comment down below on your opinions about this. If you think I'm crazy, tell me. I don't care. I'll read your comment most likely. Also, let me know how you feel about the earrings. I love them personally. Love Naruto, love Akatsuki. My favorite Akatsuki member is Itachi or Pain. Pain. Chef's kiss. Itachi. Chef's kiss. But yeah, so that is my video. Make sure to stay happy and stay healthy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys.